Oh my goodness.
Gypsy!
Gypsy, can we get a quick selfie?
She taught me how to be a good liar. A very good liar.
Gypsy Blanchard will be set free.
She's ready to go home to Louisiana with her husband.
Who initially brought up your mother?
I did.
Who talked you into your mother?
I did. I talked him into it. He had said, I'll protect you from anybody. And I said, anybody? And he said, yeah. And I said, even my mom? And he said, yeah. And that's where it kind of developed from there on. He was saying that he would protect me from anyone. I said, anyone. He said, yes. I said, even my mother. He said, yes. And then the plan kind of formed from there. I could lie and think nothing of it.
You know, people call her the master manipulator. It wasn't that. It was the other way around in that relationship with her ex. It was the other way around. She was manipulating.
Hi, Gypsy. Sorry to have to wake you up. Talk to your boyfriend. There's a whole lot of stuff you're leaving out, girl.
Like what?
Do you want to talk to me about it? Tell me about it?
Sure, I'll tell you.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
You planned this with him, okay? You didn't get locked in the bathroom, okay? I'm not stupid. You brought that knife into the picture. You brought the idea into the picture.
I didn't bring the idea.
You did bring it into. You brought the whole thing in the idea.
No.
And he did it for you. There's a lot more to this whole story that you're leaving out. I'm not going to play the sympathetic game. I'm not like that, okay? I can see right through it, okay?
Please, I'm not able to be in jail. I have a lot of medical needs.
I understand that, and they'll get taken care of.
He's the one that did the actual kill, not me. I can't kill anyone. That's why he's in trouble to begin with, because he's the one that did it. So when they say I'm a murderer, I don't identify as that.
Please welcome Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
In early 2024, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, a 32-year-old woman from Missouri with a dark past, became an unsettling social media sensation. Her infamy dated back to 2015 when she orchestrated the murder of her mother, Claudine Dee Dee Blanchard, by allegedly manipulating her boyfriend into committing the crime.
Did Gypsy know that you were going to kill her mother?
Honestly, she asked me to.
Okay.
Gypsy's story is not one of simple victimhood, but a complex, twisted narrative woven from years of abuse and deception under the guise of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. What some see as a desperate bid for freedom, others view with a more skeptical eye, questioning the true depths of her manipulation and the blurred lines between victim and villain in this disturbing tale.
He's eating a brownie. But later he will be me.
After the sudden death of her own mother, Dee Dee Blanchard allegedly spiraled into a disturbing obsession with Gypsy's health. Gypsy Rose's life began in Louisiana in 1991.
Right from birth, 3 months old, Dee Dee was telling me that she had sleep apnea, and she needed a breathing machine or breathing monitor machine, which, I mean, till this day, I don't know if that was real or not.
Yet Dee Dee was relentless, convinced that her daughter was plagued by a myriad of ailments. What began as legitimate concerns quickly morphed into something more sinister. Her fixation on Gypsy's medical issues became fanatical, a dark transformation fueled by her own unresolved grief.
I think ever since my grandmother died, Dee Dee kind of went off the deep end. She opened up credit cards with my dad's name, my grandpa's name, ran up crazy bills. Supposedly, America's Most Wanted was looking for this girl.
Rather than facing the reality of her daughter's imperfect health, Dee Dee seemed to exploit it.
And I asked her, I said, man, she's got a lot of issues. What's going on, And they had done some tests and found out she had a chromosome disorder that was causing all of her functions from developing, her digestive system and her muscular system.
Gypsy Rose's 1q21.1 microdeletion, a genetic anomaly that should have been a key piece of the puzzle, is buried under layers of deceit and psychological warfare. It's a condition capable of tearing the mind and body apart, bringing developmental delays, cognitive impairments, psychiatric disorders, and physical abnormalities into a life already marked by suffering. And yet this crucial genetic flaw is conspicuously absent from the narrative we're told.
The only thing that I have wrong with me is I have a little bit of a lazy eye. Not all the time, but I have better vision in this eye than I do that eye. That's it.
The truth might be more tangled than we're comfortable admitting. What if this microdeletion was just a minor footnote, but a significant factor in Gypsy's ailments, a hidden specter that Dee Dee exploited for her twisted game? Maybe it's easier to vilify Dee Dee as the master manipulator, the evil puppeteer who invented every symptom out of thin air. But to acknowledge this genetic defect would mean admitting that some of Gypsy's suffering might have been real, and that her medical condition wasn't entirely fabricated.
And I'm completely healthy. Like, I have no health problems whatsoever.
The line between Gypsy's victimhood and her reality would blur, and the story would no longer be a simple case of hero and villain. It would become a murky mess of genuine illness wrapped in layers of manipulation. Gypsy's microdeletion lingers in the shadows of her tale, a ghostly reminder that the truth might be more complex than the fiction we've been fed. It forces us to confront an uncomfortable possibility, that not everything we thought we knew was a lie, and that somewhere beneath all the falsehoods, there might have been a seed of reality after all.
Hi everybody, right now I'm in Cinderella's castle eating some royal mashed potatoes.
Yet beneath her illness, Gypsy could walk unaided, and she was cancer-free. Her bald head, a supposed sign of chemotherapy, was in fact the result of Dee Dee's meticulous and cruel ritual of shaving her hair to maintain the illusion of a terminally ill child.
I mean, I used to always think that maybe she's a little overprotective. And so if I had to say one word about her, it would be overprotective.
This elaborate deception wasn't about control. It was allegedly a calculated con. Dee Dee exploited Gypsy's illnesses to garner sympathy and reap the rewards. They received free trips to Disney World, where Gypsy was wheeled around in a wheelchair, playing the part of a frail, sickly child. They met celebrities, basking in the attention and admiration of those who believed that they were helping a family in need. Charities provided them with housing, financial support, and countless other forms of assistance, all under the guise of aiding a child who was ill.
Hope Kids, Jason's Dreams for Kids, Kids Wish Network. So she would actually look up foundations and stuff that she can hit up and get help with.
Medical professionals were often left bewildered by the conflicting test results that did not align with Dee Dee's grim diagnosis. But anyone who questioned the truth was quickly dismissed, as Dee Dee, with her nursing background, knew exactly how to fabricate symptoms that would fool even the most seasoned doctors.
The mother was not happy with that, and when she left the office in a storm and told my nurses that I don't know what I'm talking about and that she's not coming back.
Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose wove an intricate web of deceit, breeding a vicious cycle where Gypsy learned to manipulate and control, always ensuring she got what she wanted.
She had a very sweet personality, very convincing. She would call it Southern charm. I think that she was constantly seeking attention for herself because she didn't feel loved.
While Dee Dee's actions could be seen as a twisted form of devotion, they seemed to point to something much darker, a relentless obsession with crafting a fantasy life at any cost.
It just proves that happy endings are not just in fairy tales, they're real and true in real life also.
It's clear Dee Dee engaged in extremely high-risk behavior for years, perpetrating an elaborate con about Gypsy's health that suggested far deeper issues. While no one ever diagnosed Dee Dee, she appeared to be a parent who thrived on risk, indulging her child in disturbing extremes. Though her actions may not fit neatly into the category of medical Rose. They were undeniably fueled by mental health problems.
I've seen, at this point, hundreds of cases, but every once in a while we see a case that veers into what we call malingering by proxy, where the perpetrator is after financial remuneration, and I think they were combined in this case.
Dee Dee's entire adult life revolved around Gypsy, her every move and risk aimed at maintaining the illusion of a perfect lie. Even as Dee Dee's own health deteriorated, suffering from type 2 diabetes and being hospitalized for kidney stones during one of their extravagant Disney trips, she remained fixated on Gypsy and ignoring her own well-being. Ironically, Dee Dee's greatest mistake, which ultimately led to her demise, was overindulging Gypsy. Her reckless behavior always served one purpose: to give Gypsy everything she wanted, no matter the cost.
And always said, "You're the reason I was born, to be your mama."
With the rise of social media, a new and dangerous obsession took root in Gypsy Rose. What began as a mere curiosity quickly spiraled into something far more reckless. By 2009, Gypsy Rose's behavior online had become erratic and uncontrollable. Police warrants would later reveal that Gypsy had 5 different email addresses linked to multiple social media profiles, each hiding behind an alias, names like Emma Rose and Snow Gypsy, that masked her true identity. It was on Facebook, however, where Gypsy found her darkest escape. Under the guise of these fabricated personas, Gypsy allegedly sought out men, often older, in their 30s and 40s, many of whom belonged to the niche science fiction convention communities.
It's a lovely costume.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Party wig.
Sweet.
These were places where anonymity was easy to maintain, and fantasy often blurred into reality. It was within these shadowy corners of the internet that she crossed paths with Dan Glidewell. Gypsy's online activity was far from innocent. Beneath the facade of a young girl yearning for connection was a deeper, more disturbing drive. She was navigating the online world, drawn to the thrill of secrecy and the allure of danger. Her actions were not just the harmless escapades of a sheltered child discovering the internet. They hinted at something darker, a desperate need to break free from the grasp of her mother, to taste a freedom she had only glimpsed through the flickering screen of her computer. This digital world offered Gypsy a stage to reinvent herself, to step outside the role Dee Dee had cast her in. As she delved deeper into her virtual life, it also became a breeding ground for risky encounters and questionable choices. Her craving for independence increasingly clashed with Dee Dee's control.
One night during the convention, I'm in my wheelchair, and my mother's a few feet away, and this guy bumps into me. His name was Dan. He kind of looked a little handsome. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you, I'm sorry." And I'm like, "It's no problem, it's fine."
In 2011, Gypsy made a desperate bid for freedom, seeking refuge with Dan. This was her first attempt to escape her mother. However, Dee was relentless in her pursuit. Within no time, she tracked down Gypsy and launched a vicious attack on Dan's character. Dee Dee allegedly accused him of being a pedophile, claiming that Gypsy was just 15 years old, even though in reality, Gypsy was actually 19 at the time.
I trusted him a little bit, enough to run away from home. He didn't have a place of his own, so he was staying with a friend. Those friends knew my mom. They called my mom, and my mom came to get me. She told him that I was 15.
Dee Dee's schemes were not merely an attempt to bring her daughter back under control, but were a calculated move to manipulate the situation and tarnish Dan's reputation. The situation escalated further when Dee Dee purchased a gun, instilling profound fear in Gypsy Rose. Desperation led Gypsy Rose to allegedly plan another escape. But Dee Dee discovered her packed bags, leading to a confrontation. In a moment of anger, Gypsy Rose grabbed the gun and fired multiple times, only to realize it was a BB gun, causing minor injuries.
Grabbed the gun, and I threatened her with it. And before I knew it, I pulled the trigger as many times as I could.
Dee Dee spun another lie, claiming they had been victims of a robbery at a Walmart parking lot.
I want to specify at the beginning of this press conference that this is an ongoing investigation. And I want to start off with saying things are not always as they appear.
In 2012, Gypsy created a profile on a website called ChristianDatingForFree.com, where she soon encountered an autistic boy, Nicholas Godejohn. Their connection was immediate and intense, with Gypsy allegedly falling deep in love after just a few conversations.
Where did you guys meet?
It was a site called ChristianForDatingFree.com.
Okay. Is that like a dating site?
Yeah, it's for Christians, but it's meant to be free.
Once you met on there, what happened?
We got closer on there, and we connected more and more.
Okay.
And then we got comfortable to where we about like I don't know how to explain it. It's like the way that we clicked is it made it seem like we somehow just knew we were right for each other.
Okay.
So we like, what was it, like 4 days? I would have to say 4 days later we started a relationship.
Gypsy expertly mirrored Nicholas, playing on his insecurities and convincing him they were soulmates. It didn't take long for her to reveal to him that she knew all about the medical fraud she and her mother had carefully constructed for years. She confessed with a disturbing ease that she'd been pretending to be a sick, disabled child, all the while knowing she was a grown woman in her 20s.
Probably about a year into our relationship, I just couldn't lie to him anymore. And I just told him everything.
At the time, I was fully aware that I could walk, that I could eat, that I didn't need the feeding tube, that I didn't have a seizure disorder. I was even suspicious that I didn't have cancer.
Did Gypsy ever have to be in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Okay, when was that?
That was only when she was living at home.
Okay.
Otherwise, me and maybe like five other people knew that she could walk.
Oh, okay. Why didn't nobody know she could walk?
Her mom wanted everyone thinking that she was like 16 the entire time. So, yeah, she felt kind of trapped on a wheelchair when I actually was trying to encourage her to be able to walk more and more and more.
Okay, so she can actually walk.
Yep.
And stand and do everything.
Yep.
But her mom wanted her to use the wheelchair and pretend like she was 16?
Yeah, 16 and disabled, yes.
Okay, so what would she do to pretend like she's disabled?
Oh gosh, I can't even answer that question.
She seemed almost proud of the deception, as if the years of manipulation and lies were just another game she had mastered, drawing Nicholas deeper into her world of secrets. Their online communication became a frenzy of secret plans and shared fantasies. To keep their growing bond hidden from Dee Dee, Gypsy and Nicholas set up a private Facebook page, a method for their increasingly disturbing exchanges. By May 2014, Gypsy had begun weaving a new story, casting Dee Dee as the villain who would stop at nothing to keep them apart. She fed Nicholas a series of increasingly desperate ideas, first allegedly suggesting she get pregnant, hoping that a baby would force Dee Dee's hand, and then, if that failed, hinting that Dee Dee might have to be permanently removed from their lives.
You know,
He says
I guess he's been talking to her for a couple of years that I know of.
Okay, talking to this Gypsy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but we always try to talk to him about dating someone around here, or, you know.
Yeah.
Because one of my friends let me know something was on Facebook about her, saying she was trying to get pregnant.
Wow.
I'm like, are you kidding me? I had a long conversation with him about it. I was like, are you kidding me?
Nicholas was stunned by Gypsy's proposal, struggling to make sense of her dark suggestion. Confused and desperate for clarity, he turned to his sister, asking her just how insane Gypsy's request truly was. After hearing his sister's advice, Nicholas tried to calm her fears, insisting that it was unlikely to ever come to that. By early 2015, after the last Make-A-Wish trip to Disney World, the pair hatched a plan to meet in person for the first time. Gypsy sent Nicholas cash, funding his trip from his Wisconsin home to Missouri, orchestrating their fairy tale meeting at a Cinderella screening in a local theater.
we thought that it was time to meet up face to face. And so I came up with the idea, let's meet up at a movie theater. Let's pretend like we don't know each other and we'll bump into each other, make friends. And I thought, if he dressed nice, if he said all the right things, if he was just a kind person, that my mom would think, hey, well, why not this be the one? And then that way we don't have to lie and hide our relationship.
She went with her mother, carefully staging the encounter as if she were innocently meeting Nicholas for the first time. As the movie played, Gypsy led Nicholas away to the men's bathroom to consummate the relationship, believing a pregnancy could bind them together and force Dee Dee into compliance.
Wow, did her mom know?
We kept it from her mom.
Okay. Where did you have sex at in the theater?
It was in a bathroom.
Okay, in a girl's bathroom or boys' bathroom?
She just took me to the boys' bathroom. I didn't have any choice. I just went right into the boys' bathroom. I guess she's okay with it.
When Gypsy returned to her mother's side, she claimed Dee Dee flew into a rage, forbidding her from ever seeing Nicholas again.
She despised him. She was like, he's creepy, he's weird, he's coming to see a kid's movie alone by himself. And now looking back on it, yeah, it is weird.
But Nicholas told a different story, insisting that Dee Dee welcomed him around Gypsy.
Oh, okay, so you were in Springfield before?
Yep.
And did her mom know you were here?
No, I got to meet her mom in person for the first time.
And was her mom nice to you, or?
Yeah, she was really nice to me.
Each version of the story cast new shadows, leaving it unclear who was truly in control and who was playing whom in their dangerous game. According to those familiar with the case, once Gypsy was convinced Nicholas could make it to Missouri on his own, her focus shifted. Dee Dee had to be eliminated. Some speculate that the entire trip to the Missouri movie theater was nothing more than an elaborate test, a calculated move by Gypsy to gauge whether Nicholas, with his struggles stemming from autism, could follow through with a plan and reach her on his own. It was as if she needed proof of his commitment, that he was willing and capable of entering into her world despite his limitations.
Gypsy might have been a mastermind in herself. I think it's most anybody's instinct, oh shit, you murdered your mother, Watch that girl. Don't turn your back, she might stab you.
The final plan for murder began to take shape in May 2015. By then, Gypsy Rose had grown tired of her escape attempts. She was ready to end it all for good. Around this time, Dee Dee made a frantic call to the police, reporting cash and narcotics missing from her safe. What she didn't know was that Gypsy was behind the theft, stealing from her own mother to fund Nick's second trip to Missouri, paying for his bus ticket and a seedy motel stay.
He took a Greyhound bus. I managed to scrape up enough money to pay for him a ticket.
Now, you indicated that you paid for this trip to Missouri by Nick in 2015. What all did you pay for?
I paid for the Greyhound bus ticket. I paid for the hotel and for eating money.
And how did you pay for this? How did you get the money to Nick?
I stole the money from my mother and I sent it to him via the mail.
Gypsy settled on early June for the deadly scheme, but there was one last piece to lock into place, convincing Nick to help her carry out the murder. For weeks, she allegedly coaxed and manipulated him through their secret online conversations, feeding his fantasies while appealing to his misguided love and sense of loyalty. She continued to paint herself as a trapped victim, weaving stories of suffering and pleading for his help. Gypsy carefully played on Nick's darker tendencies, stoking his desire to be her prince by any means necessary. Nick, infatuated and easily led, agreed to do it.
You have a collect call from
Godejohn.
an inmate at Greene County Jail. To accept charges, press 1.
I was really shocked. She said, if you truly love me, you'd be willing to do this for me because you know this is the only way we can be together. And at some point I ended up giving in because I didn't know what else to do. There's nothing I wouldn't do for her. There's truly nothing I wouldn't do.
With the date set, they began to prepare. Gypsy sent Nick instructions on women where to meet, what to bring, and how to carry out the gruesome act. She detailed everything down to the knife he would use, each step in a calculated effort to end her mother's life and finally claim the freedom she so desperately wanted.
Don't have it in me to kill her. And he said, well, you know, if you can't kill her, who's gonna do it? And I said, could you?
Law enforcement discovered that Gypsy had created a new Facebook account under the name Nicholas Bella Rose less than a month before Dee Dee's death. This account served one purpose only. It was the hidden channel where she finalized the plans for the murder, carefully manipulating Nicholas into carrying out the deadly act.
I only used one card that I have over you. Gypsy.
Gypsy knew better than to discuss the murder in text messages or any other place her words could easily be tracked. She allegedly set up the account specifically to coordinate every detail, using it to tighten her grip over Nick, pushing him further into her scheme. Believing herself clever, Gypsy planned to delete the account after the murder, convinced it would cover the tracks. She even destroyed her laptop, thinking she had wiped away any trace of evidence that could tie her to the crime. But her attempts to erase her digital footprint only hinted at the depth of her calculated involvement, revealing her effort to orchestrate Dee Dee's murder while evading suspicion.
Is she like, I mean, is she taking any sort of, you know, is she like, well, okay, it was me too, or is she trying to put it all on?
She takes some responsibility, but not much. Not much at all.
For him to ruin his life over that, I'm sorry, but she's a beast.
Yeah.
On that fateful day, Nicholas Godejohn made his way to Missouri, checking into a cheap motel and waiting anxiously for Gypsy's signal. The plan was in motion. When Gypsy confirmed that Dee Dee had fallen asleep, Godejohn slipped out of his room and headed to the Blanchards' house, where Gypsy waited. Gypsy retreated into the bathroom, shutting herself inside with her hands over her ears, trying to block out the horror about to unfold. Meanwhile, Nicholas crept into Dee Dee's bedroom and, without hesitation, stabbed her repeatedly. The brutal scene played out just as they had planned, with Gypsy listening from behind the door, waiting for the sounds to stop. In the chilling aftermath, both Gypsy and Nicholas would later claim they had sex in Gypsy's bed, mere moments after Dee Dee's murder. The scene of violence still hanging in the air, a disturbing end to their night of bloodshed.
And then, she wanted to have sex with me, so I did.
Okay, she wanted to have sex with you?
Yes.
Okay, and so where'd you guys have sex at?
In her bedroom.
In
her bed.
Her bed. In
yes.
Gypsy's bed?
Yes.
Okay. And so you guys have sex?
Yes.
And what kind of sex? What is sex like to you?
Well, to me, the kind of sex that it was pretty much was 100% consensual. Is what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Nicholas and Gypsy would spend the next hour frantically scrubbing away the evidence of violence in the dimly lit room. Days earlier, on June 7th, Gypsy's search history allegedly revealed a chilling question: how to remove the smell of a dead body. In a desperate attempt to mask their actions, Gypsy scattered baby powder across the room, tucked dryer sheets between the mattress, and set the air conditioning to an uncomfortably cold temperature. After a couple of tense nights at Godejohn's motel in Springfield, they boarded a bus to his home in Big Bend, Wisconsin, seeking to escape the chaos they had created. But on the afternoon of June 14th, disturbing posts surfaced on Dee's Facebook page, leaving friends and neighbors unsettled and convinced the account had been hacked. Gypsy insisted that Nicholas had logged into her mother's account, posting unsettling messages without her consent. Yet during Nicholas's interrogation, he contradicted her, claiming it was Gypsy who had taken control of the account, revealing a chilling lack of foresight.
So who posted those things on there?
I didn't even know the password, so she's the only one that knows it. It's only she could post it.
Okay, do you know what they say?
I read it, but I don't remember what it said.
Okay, so you didn't post them on there?
No.
Okay, did she post them on there?
Yes, she did.
Did you know she made those posts before she made them?
She kind of surprised me with it.
Okay, and how did that happen?
She showed me it's just after she posted it. I'm like, what the heck? She kind of freaked me out.
Okay.
The ominous posts triggered alarm bells among their community, prompting concerned friends and neighbors to reach out to the local police, desperate for answers about the well-being of Dee Dee Blanchard.
911, do you have an emergency?
The 911 call triggered a rapid response, dispatching Deputy Mike Robertson to 2301 West Volunteer Way in Springfield, Missouri, where he arrived at 3:13 p.m. to meet Corporal R. Stewart and Deputy Catherine Hughes. The scene outside the Blanchard home was tense, with concerned neighbors anxiously awaiting any sign of what lay within. During a 2019 interview with the Good Wives Network, Deputy Hughes recounted the details of the day's welfare check.
So I walked up and I introduced myself. I said, you know, what's going on today? And there were 3 women and a man, and they're all looking a little upset. And they tell me about this woman and her daughter, and they live in this house, and somebody posted on this woman's Facebook page.
As she and Corporal Stewart began to survey the area, they noticed an open kitchen window, a detail that hinted at something unusual yet didn't provide enough probable cause to enter the home. Bound by protocol, they hesitated to breach the property, but were keenly aware of the growing unease among the gathered neighbors.
Clearly, we knock on the door, there's no answer. The car is still in the driveway. We're walking around the house, we're trying to find out, like, if we can see anything through any of the windows. And the windows all have, like, this faux stained glass stuff on them. Right. So you can't see in at all. As we're on the back side of the house, Robertson stated that they had found that the kitchen window was open. And it wound up, Corporal Stewart said we were not going to go in there because legally it was it would be kind of a gray area. Sure. Robertson and I disagreed with him, but when somebody is your supervisor, right, you can't really disagree with them.
David Blanchard took matters into his own hands. With the window left ajar, he climbed through, unlocking the front door from the inside.
First thing that I noticed when I got inside, other than it being dark, is that it was extremely cold. It's like the air conditioner had been on full blast and just constantly running.
Corporal Stewart peered into the house, finding no immediate signs of struggle or disturbance. The scene seemed eerily calm, except for one detail. David pointed out that Gypsy's wheelchair was in the bathroom, a troubling sign giving her supposed disabilities.
Gypsy's wheelchairs are still sitting in the living room, and her electric wheelchair was in the bathroom. So that means all 3 of the wheelchairs that I knew that she had were in the house.
Corporal Stewart's official report noted his observations. No visible struggle, no chaos to suggest a violent incident. He instructed David Blanchard and anyone else inside to step back outside and secure the door, maintaining the protocol even as a sense of unease continued to build around the mystery of the seemingly untouched home. In the early hours of June 15th, at precisely 12:18 a.m., police executed a search warrant on the Blanchards' house. What they found inside was grim. Dee Dee's lifeless body lying undiscovered in the quiet darkness.
This poor woman had done nothing but give her life for her child and had done nothing but love everybody around her.
As investigators sifted through the evidence, a neighbor revealed a critical piece of the puzzle: the secret relationship between Gypsy Rose and Nicholas Godejohn. This revelation was the turning point, giving authorities the lead they needed to trace Godejohn's IP address through Facebook, which led them to his residence in Big Bend, Wisconsin.
Aaliyah, the daughter of one of them out there, Amy, her mom had kind of let her know what was going on. She came over and she said, well, you know, Gypsy used to send me messages over Facebook from an account that her mom didn't know about. And I said, okay, really? Because at this point, you know, we've kind of determined this is not a check well-being. This, you know, we're not sure where these people are, but its circumstances are suspicious. Sure. But Aaliyah came up and let me know about these messages, and I asked her if she could pull any up. And so she searched through her Facebook messages, and she finally found where Gypsy had talked to her over her messages. And a lot of it was about how she was basically planning her wedding already.
The wedding in the snow?
Yeah. And so it wasn't, there was, the only way I was able, and I was actually the first one to be able to connect him to this case, because at one point in the messages, she talks about if they have children in the future, they're going to name their daughter Bella, and their son will be Nicholas Godejohn Jr.
In a coordinated operation, police in Waukesha County, Wisconsin, moved swiftly to raid the Godejohn family home. They apprehended both Gypsy Rose and Nicholas on charges of murder and felony armed criminal action. The pair were promptly extradited to Missouri, where they were held on a $1 million bond, the gravity of their alleged crimes now fully realized.
To hear that she had been found in Wisconsin, alive, unharmed, it was one ray of hope.
Initially, there was a moment of relief among friends and neighbors when they learned Gypsy was alive, but that relief quickly twisted into confusion and dread. During a press conference, the Springfield sheriff delivered a chilling statement.
And I want to start off with saying, things are not always as they appear.
Those words marked the unsettling beginning of a narrative that would soon reveal a far darker reality than anyone could have imagined.
Your mom's dead, okay? Now, what I want to ask you is, your mom's passed away, okay? And she's deceased, all right? Yeah. Okay.
As the investigation unfolded, the disturbing truth had been revealed. Together, Gypsy and Dee had fabricated a web of deception, a con that ensnared an entire community for years. Gypsy, complicit in her mother's elaborate lies, ultimately agreed to a plea deal of guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 10 years in prison.
This case is unusual and extraordinary. Gypsy Blanchard endured nearly 2 decades of systematic, purposeful abuse at the hands of her mother for the purpose of fraud. And so by amending to murder second degree, we were able to both hold Gypsy Blanchard accountable for the murder, which was not justified nor excusable, but yet account for those mitigating circumstances.
Many argue that regardless of her upbringing, she participated in the premeditated murder of her mother, believing that a crime of this magnitude required accountability, regardless of the circumstances leading up to it. Nicholas Godejohn's trial spanned 4 tense days, during which Gypsy testified, admitting that the plan to kill Dee had been hers from the start.
Whose idea was it to kill your mother?
Mine.
Why did you want to kill your mother?
Because I wanted to be free of her hold on me.
Did you and Nick ever talk about this?
Yes,
Who initially brought up your mother?
I did.
Godejohn was ultimately convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, along with a concurrent 25-year sentence for armed criminal action. Nicholas Godejohn's sentence of life without parole left many questioning whether justice was truly served. Diagnosed with autism and other mental health issues, Godejohn wasn't a cold-blooded killer, but rather a vulnerable man who struggled to grasp the complexities of social interactions and reality itself. The court's portrayal of him as a calculating predator overlooked his limitations, ignoring the fact that his condition made him highly susceptible to manipulation. Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the supposed damsel in distress, desperate to escape the clutches of her mother, was she the mastermind who played on Godejohn's emotions?
This is actually kind of the first time I've been honest. Besides being honest, you know, with my attorneys, even that, I haven't been completely honest with them, so.
She plotted, planned, and persuaded, yet walked away with a mere 10-year sentence, freedom in sight before she even turned 35. Meanwhile, Godejohn, who had no prior criminal record and whose actions were driven by a distorted sense of love and loyalty, was left to bear the full weight of their crime. His mental health, his vulnerabilities, and the unequal nature of his punishment were pushed to the shadows of the courtroom, as though he were just another monster to lock away. Life without parole for the first-time offender, a man manipulated into committing a crime he barely understood. Was Nicholas Godejohn the true villain, or merely a pawn in the game that was rigged from the start?
I did that for her and only for her. Not for us.
Is life on the outside what you expected?
Hey everyone, this is Gypsy. I'm finally free.
Buying new shoes, Gypsy was asked if she has any plans, and she responded,
Lots of them.
and she's already planned her first outing. She's going to be going apparently to a Chiefs game and hoping to meet Taylor Swift.
Are you happy?
Yes. I don't know why you think I'm not. And all of a sudden now you're not.
Maybe I'm not.
She wants a baby.
What?
I can tell, bro.
What?
I don't know.
Where does this come from?
I don't know. I'm gonna tell both of y'all. Just wait.
So I go in the bathroom, I take the test. And it came back positive. Do you plan on being more present on social media? Yes.
So when you made this decision to take part in the killing of your mom, were you high?
Yes, I was.
I was wondering, at the time that the murder of your mother happened, were you under the influence of the painkillers? Were you high? Did that influence what occurred that night?
I was during that week painkillers. However, that was not something that affected my mental state at that time.
I fully encourage looking at someone's life in the most truest form. So I'm in support of documentaries.